pre-designed format, or is it a freestyle class?
Let's say pre-designed.
It's pre-designed. Why is it pre-designed? Because Beachbody comes up with the choreography and the music, gives it to you, and then you deliver the class. So we call that a pre-designed format. There are other pre-designed formats out there like Les Mills. Zumba is considered a pre-designed format. Insanity is a pre-designed format. On the flip side of that, there is something we call a freestyle class, where you come up with your music, you download your music, you put the class together, you put the choreography and the moves together, and that's your class. You designed it, that's freestyle. Does anyone in here teach a freestyle class? What do you teach?
I mean, would you consider spinning?
Yes, because you have to get your music, you have to put your ride together.
Absolutely.
Right.
So yeah, I teach spinning.
How long does it take you to get all your music and put your rides together?
I mean, it takes a little bit.
It takes a, yeah.
Yeah, it takes a little while.
Yeah, it does. So,
It does.
so it is, it's a process, and it's time consuming. And, you know, with Insanity, Beachbody does all that. So
your spin classes like, what's the guy I follow in Georgia? KX Fitness? Do you do like hip hop on the bike and stuff like that?
No,
Like soul cycling?
I'm straight like Joey G. I'm straight like traditional spinning. We're going on trails and we'll add jumps, we'll add sprints. I put my own flavor of music in there, but they tried with teaching that, they try to limit all that movement because I have older, you know, more wiser people in my classes.
Okay.
So that whole movement stuff, it'll get them off their bike, and then I'll have to do my CPR certified and get them on there. So try to stick with tradition. It's good.
anyone else teach freestyle type class?
I teach like total body conditioning classes, cardio kickboxing, a mix of kickboxing and calisthenics. So I put together design classes.
Yeah, so your weekly routine consists of getting your music and putting all that together. So that's the difference between a pre-designed and a freestyle class. Since Insanity is a pre-designed format, you're given the music and the choreography, you're going to deliver it. How do you do that? You are given, do we have a kit?
I'm actually doing that right now.
Yeah, that'd be perfect because I want them to kind of look through it. You're going to be given a kit that looks like this.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Start taking the plastic off now because it's like
Every 60 days, you're going to get what we call a round in your mailbox. Once you're a member of Protein, which we'll talk about later. So this handy dandy kit's going to come to you every 60 days. This is called a round. This is one class. So in here, as you guys are opening it up, talk to you about what's in here. You have a music CD.
Thank you.
Okay, so you can rip that music, put onto your iPod, your MP3. You can go old school and use a CD. I suggest you make a copy of it though, because it gets scratched and all that stuff. Also, there's a DVD in here as well. On the DVD is the master class. So the exact class, which is round 6, will be taught on that. And there's also a form and technique portion on that DVD. You have to watch the form and technique portion. So I'm going to say it again. You have to watch the form and technique portion. Because every move is broken down for you in the way that you have to cue it and execute it. There's also a modification given for every move as well. So you're going to need to know that your class, this is a tough class. Your members are going to need modifications. They're also going to need to be safe. So you have to watch that form and technique. Last thing that's in here is your choreography notes. So guys, pull that out. Open up nice and long. One side is the 50-minute format. Other side is the 30-minute format. Let me go through that with you just a little bit. Both the 60 and the 30-minute formats start with a warm-up, go into dynamic stretch, go into blocks of work. 50-minute format has 3 blocks of work, 30-minute format has 2 blocks of work. 50-minute format has an abs and core section, and then they both, of course, end with your pull down and stretch.
So the program is always broken down this way. So anytime when you get your rounds, it's never completely. The warm-up is always a warm-up, the cool down is always at the end of your class, and then depending on how you're going to teach your class, either 30 or the 60-minute class, you're either going to have 2 blocks or you're going to have 3 blocks with an ab section. It's always formatted that way, and you always have 2 ways to teach your classes. Sorry to interrupt you, but the one thing I want to point out is that in the very beginning, it is important to understand, and you'll see this later on when I teach the master class, is that a 30-minute class winds up being a little bit longer because we shut the music off in between every block to preview it so that the people that are in our class understand exactly what it is that we want them to do. Not only to do the moves, but to also show them modifications, because you're gonna have all different walks of life come into your classes, and hopefully every time when you teach a class, you're having more people come in. So we wanna make sure that they feel successful and that they understand what is exactly that they should be feeling and be doing at every single move that we ask them to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So technically, a 30-minute class can get to 40 minutes, because you're shutting off the music, you're talking, and then you're putting the music on. So just make sure that when you decide to have this put on the schedule, you're not butting up to somebody else's class. So for instance, if your 30-minute class has Mary's class starting right on that half hour, you need to make sure that there's some time in between the classes. So you don't want to piss off Mary. Understand what I'm saying? And you can't cut your cool down, okay? Because that's not an option. Understand?
What about the 60 minutes?
60 minutes is gonna probably run you about almost 70 minutes. So in the very beginning, I sometimes say that maybe you only have a 60-minute class until you get this underneath your belt and you feel a little bit more confident with speaking, that you only do the 3 blocks, cut the abs out for now, and then keep it a 60-minute class, because you'll end up on time. Once you get it going and you feel comfortable, and you don't have a class that's starting directly right after yours, then put the ab section in, because the ab section is 9 minutes long. Okay? Does that make sense? I just don't want you getting in a situation where you're like, this is only supposed to be a 30-minute class and it's taking me 40 minutes. Why am I getting in, why am I in this situation? So just give yourself a little bit of time. Okay. Sorry, Carter.
Okay. So I'm just going to go through each section of the class with you so you can get a feel of what it's for and what its purpose is. So warm up. What do we think the warm up is for?
Blood flow going.
Exactly. Get the blood flowing. What
Loosen up
else?
those muscles.
Yep. Get your muscles ready.
Movement rehearsal.
Exactly. Yes. You guys touched it. You guys all three.
You
Oh my
guys-
gosh.
You guys read the manual before you come to the training.
Seriously.
Good.
In Insanity, the warm-up is 6 moves. They're 30 seconds each. You're going to do those 6 moves 3 times through. The first time you do them, you're going to keep them a little lower. The second time through, you're going to add more range of motion, maybe a little bit quicker. Third time through, even bigger and quicker. So for example, if you have straight jacks in your warm-up, first time you're going to kind of keep them slower. Okay. Second time through, bigger arms, spreading my feet a little bit wider. Third time through, they're kind of ready to go at it. Now I teach Insanity at 5:30 a.m. on Wednesdays. They come in with hair all over the place, one eye shut, one shoelace untied. They're rolling out of bed, literally. So that first time that we go through, they're dogging it. I mean, some of them, they're just waking up. If you teach later at night, they may go a little bit harder that first round through, but just beware that they keep it low to reduce the risk of injury. So you're gonna start off slow. Okay, so they're gonna be a little bit sweaty after they get through those 3 rounds of the warm-up, but they're ready to go. Warm-up then moves into dynamic stretch. What do you think the dynamic stretch is for? It's a tough one. It's a little harder than
Open up the
yeah.
range of motion.
You're gonna gradually, you're gonna gradually bring the heart rate down, and you're also gonna provide a transition between the warm-up and the work that you're going into. Do you guys know the difference between dynamic and static stretching? What is it? That's right. So important in Insanity that during the dynamic stretch that you are moving through the stretches, because in that warm-up, their heart rate is up there. So if you're finishing with the warm-up and you're like, okay, stop and wide forward fold and hold it, not safe. Okay, so it's moving through the stretches, moving through dynamic stretches. Okay, so it's really important that you guys keep them moving through that.
Static stretching, when do you think that you do, when do you do that?
At the end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right now, definitely, because
Yeah.
we need our muscles to be really warm and pliable, and it usually takes about 22 minutes for that to happen. So at the end of the class, that's the best time to do it, because then you can hold a position and you know that you're not gonna be hurting your muscles at that time. There's also one more stretch, do you happen to know what that is?
Ballistic.
Yeah, ballistic, when do we use that?
Never.
No, that's
No.
not true.
Not true.
That's not true. What, but I'm curious, why do you think that? Because it has such a bad name?
Well, no, because I did it once in my class, and my director told me not to because it can like pop a joint or something like that because you're forcing. But it could, there's a lot of different things out there.
Ballistic stretching actually can be very, very helpful, but it depends on the program that you're using it for. So for instance, if you're a kickboxer, one of the things that we use a lot are hip flexors. So do doing a controlled holistic stretch in the beginning of the class is actually pretty good. The control word is the thing that you need to always emphasize when you are teaching that kind of stretch, because you don't want people popping and doing things too strong and their muscles are just not ready to do that yet. But that's the third one, and that is a really good stretch. You just need to know when to use it.
After that dynamic stretch, we go into our real work, and they're broken down into blocks. So this is our interval work. They're going to be working at 75 to 90% of their maximum heart rate. Mike will talk a little bit later about anaerobic versus aerobic activity and why interval training is so effective and so important. That's what they're going to be doing in the blocks. So like Kara said, in the 30-minute format, you're going to have 2 blocks of work. In the 50-minute format, you're going to have 3 blocks of work. Each one of those blocks is broken down into 4 moves, 30 seconds each, with a 30-second recovery at the end. So think about it, 4 moves, 30 seconds each, 30-second recovery. How long is that?
2.5 minutes.
How'd you do that so quickly? It's got a math brain. Last time I was at a training, everyone was like, yeah, 2.5 minutes. You're gonna do that 3 times through. At the end of that 3rd time, you're gonna have a 1-minute power move. Put all that together, you've got an 8.5-minute block. So you are having, like I said, so 2 blocks in the 30, 3 blocks in the 50. 50-minute class adds in that ab core section, 8 moves, 1 minute each, and then both formats, as Kara was talking about before, end with the cool down. So you're going to be holding the static stretches. Okay, you're going to be talking to them about the importance of flexibility, because hopefully the more you talk about the importance of flexibility, the more they're going to stick around. For some reason, they always like to leave when the stretching portion comes. So the more you talk about the importance of it, hopefully the more that they'll stick with it and understand that they really do need to stretch. At that point,
Does anybody have that problem? That people will be, they're deciding to leave? Yeah.
I'll get like 1 or 2, but that's why like I try to, like, I also do cardio kickboxing, so in between like the warm up, I'll also do like a dynamic stretch just so they could see what the benefits is, and I let them know, I was like, see how much higher your leg is going. It's because we hit that stretch, and just important as we did then is when we do the cool down, because you want to bring it down, and then little by little, less and less people start leaving after stretching.
There's also nothing wrong in the very beginning of your class to tell everyone how important it is to stay for the cool down. I've had people, even your best students, your front row divas, leaving early. But when you make that announcement in the beginning of class that if you have to leave 10 minutes prior to the class finishing, then today's not the day to take this class. If you set the precedence how important it is for cool down and how serious you are, that you really care about your people's health, then people won't leave your class. They can go and get some dry cleaners 10 minutes later. They'll make those arrangements to make sure that they're safe, because you would never want something happen to your people when they get in the car and you're not there because they didn't stay for the cool down. So it's really important to set the precedence in the very beginning of class.
so, and then again, reiterate the importance of flexibility training during your cool down. I always thank them for coming at that point, and at that point when they're able to listen, and sometimes I tell some stories or, whatever I need to do to end the class at that point. One last thing I want to talk about too is that now that you know the format of Insanity, the fun part about it is that once you get a few rounds under your belt, you can mix and match a little bit. So you can replace a block 1 from another round with another block 1, replace a block 2 with another block 2, same thing with block 3, so you can mix it up a bit. I like to think of it like a pizza. So one day if I have my pizza with broccoli and onions and tomatoes, and another day I'm going to take off the tomatoes, I'm going to put in some spinach. Another day I'm going to take off the broccoli and the onions, and put in sausage and pepperoni. It's always a pizza, but I can mix it up a little bit. It's always Insanity. It's always going to be taught in that format, but you can mix and match a little bit.
I think it gives you guys the creativity of making your classes different. So for instance, if Claudia is teaching an Insanity class down the road from me, her class is going to be completely different. Not just because of our personalities, but she's going to coordinate her class differently. So for instance, when you are looking at your rounds right now, if you look at your choreography, if you have round today, you're getting round 6, you can see that you can probably do the warm-up and you can do block 1 from round 6. If you sign for VIP today, you're actually going to get round 1. So now you have, you're building your library. You can now take block 2, 3, and the ab section from round 1 and mix it up. So our classes could look completely more library you have, the more choreography, the more music, the more interesting you can make your classes. The only thing to keep in mind, and this is super important, is that we like consistency. So that means that if you take round one, the choreography and the music needs to stay together. So don't be mixing music and choreography with different blocks. Does that make sense? So if you're using round 6, block 1, you have to keep that music together. And then you can coordinate the other blocks from somewhere else, but again, the choreography and the music needs to stay together. Yes?
I think I lost you on that.
Yeah.
Do the tracks come as individual
I got
tracks
lost
then?
too.
Is that like?
Yeah,
on the
so like
CD
if
it's
you
not
look,
a-
if you open up your choreography notes, look at block 1. What does it say the music